Hello there, my name is Placeholder, and welcome back once again to Company of Heroes 3. I want to talk a little bit more about what I've noticed as a player of Company Heroes 1 and 2, as well as majority of the DLC that came out for both of those games. I really do actually enjoy a lot of the differences that Company Heroes 3 has brought into at least like the general campaign setting is what I'm mostly talking about, because I haven't quite reached stage where I am comfortable slash ready to jump into any of the multiplayer stuff. Once I do, after I complete the first run throughs of the campaigns, I'll 100% delve deeper into that part of the void. But the main thing that I personally enjoy about this game is it seems to want to take all the infantry, just any form of manpower, and crank up their ability to be a jack of all trade unit, because the engineers have a higher quality of life. They're a lot more viable. They're not just something that you deploy and probably don't put in the front line, or if you have them in the front line, it's not for very long. Whereas also the infantry or the grenadiers, whatever, they all tend to be a lot stronger in the general sense of the term of infantry. Not only do just about every single one of them have some form of anti-tank grenade, personnel grenade, and general ability and or weapons that they could personally unlock to make sure that they operate at a higher level, they also tend to have just a general better form of AI when it comes to interacting with the environment. For one, I love the fact that you can actually hide behind most of your friendly uh, armored vehicles. Granted, it was a thing in the last couple of games, but in this game, they've at least updated, I guess, like the quote unquote hitbox as to where you can kind of stand behind vehicles when they're stationary, which I do enjoy. I also enjoy the fact that it may just be me, it may be me being crazy, but I like the fact that the AI can kind of work around friendly armored vehicles. And one of the biggest things is that you're moving an infantry unit from point A to point B. If there is a small obstacle in the way, like a short wall or fence, just about every time the AI will just vault over that fence instead of having to go all the way around, which in many cases during Company Heroes 2, you had to manually click for them to vault and then go over top of said obstacle and then go to their final destination. Which, I mean, yes, granted, that's not the hugest thing ever, but it does help just with general. You don't have to. It helps in that you don't have to micromanage your inventory as much when you just have them going from point A to point B. And as I've said in multiple videos, the flamethrower units are absolutely broken. Especially the fact that it just gives the engineers so much higher quality of life that you can quite literally replace most infantry units with just engineer units, as long as you get your engineer units in close enough of a range that they can deal damage with their flame units. Now, obviously, there are ways to counter that. We got mortar teams, you got HMGs. However, I would say HMGs and mortar teams, they haven't really changed much, which is fine. I don't necessarily need them to be buffed in any sort of way. That's totally fine. We don't necessarily need to mess with that. But overall, the thing that I sort of dislike about the infantry units in Company Heroes 3, so far at least, is the fact that since they are trying to make them into more of a jack of all trade unit for each and every single one of them, it doesn't quite seem like there is a particular need for anti-tank units or small light armored vehicles like half tracks or armored cars I would even say not even much of a use for like as small as a Stuart light tank. My reason being is because if you have an infantry unit that already has an anti-tank grenade, regardless if they have a bazooka equipped or anti-tank rifle, the anti-tank grenades, from what I've been seeing, deal a lot of damage for not a ton of reason. And also, a huge improvement slash problem I've seen with Company Heroes 2 to Company Heroes 3 is that majority of the grenades, or I should say anti-tank grenades, tend to be almost a lock-on ability, where as long as you throw it within range of a tank, it'll land on the tank and just deal damage, no problem. Not a problem whatsoever. Whereas in Company Heroes 2, for the most part, you threw it and the tank decided to move, you're out of luck because that explosive device is no longer in range of damage for said armored vehicle. Which in ways is good. It's great. It's actually a really good improvement because otherwise it's a waste of munitions and also a waste of your time. However, because of the fact that these infantry units now have such a more wider range of situations, or rather scenarios, that they can deal with, is there really a use for having anti-tank guns, anti-tank field guns rather I should say, or smaller anti-tank units, or specifically any type of light armor vehicles, when you would probably rather just save up for medium and or heavy armor? Kind of raises a bit of a conflict, especially when you have, multiplayer situations. Again, have not yet got into multiplayer, but I guarantee it's going to be a lot more of an infantry heavy situation as opposed to saving up fuel resources for armor. Especially because your opponent, if he knows what he's doing, will just simply equip several infantrymen with bazookas and or anti-tank rifles and just swarm you with anti-tank grenades. You are pretty much out of luck at that point because he has more maneuverability, more units, and also more damage output than just one singular tank. And now because of that small, I wouldn't say small issue, but that particular issue that I've seen, not necessarily wouldn't call it an issue, but something needs to be kind of rebalanced in this case, is that armored units are by far less effective in dealing with infantry than they have been in the past. I don't know if anyone noticed in one of my last videos for the African campaign, but there was a point where I had a couple panzer units firing on about maybe 2 or 3 infantry units and an HMG unit, and even though several shells and machine gun fire were exchanged from my armored vehicles, it practically did 0 damage to the enemy infantry units. Which, again, granted, armor wasn't the most effective against infantry in the first place because of low visibility and the fact you have to reload, all that stuff, and also more maneuverability for the infantry side. However, in Company Heroes 2, again, I'm comparing it to the older game, the only faction of infantry that I could ever use super effectively against armored units back then, aside from just using Soviet conscript spam against armored units, the American units, just because of the sole fact that they had M9 bazookas, would absolutely dominate the field, pretty much irregardless of how many and what type of armored units I was facing. But because they took the Jack of all trades standard for the US forces in Company Heroes 2 and applied that to everybody, I feel like there's a bit of an issue there, especially when it comes to balancing between infantry usage and armored usage. And it'll be interesting to see how many people continue to use a balance of each, or if more players, or the meta, as some people say, will end up becoming just infantry or just armored units. Only time will tell. But that's just my comments on the thing. I'm not here to tear Relic a new one or tell them how to make their games, especially since they're currently doing a lot of updates to make sure this game still works. Had a lot of issues when it first came out. But that is just my 2 cents on it as someone who's been playing for a little while. It doesn't seem all that great if all of a sudden reliance on armored vehicles is thrown out the window just because infantry is all of a sudden better. Not saying it needs to be completely nerfed or anything, but something needs to be worked out to rebalance that a little. Anywho, without further ado, we're going to get back to regular programming.
All right, men. We're looking at some pretty desperate krauts here. Let's show them all we've got and send them running back to their grandmas.
How desperate are we talking about? Because so far they haven't been very aggressive.
They've got back at us. And I'm not planning on facing the wrath of Grandma Conti just yet. Get it antsy! Give up orders! Sector's under our control now!
What was I just saying earlier?
That transport lost an engine and had to dump its cargo on Kraut
About the fact that
We've got to make
the engineers
it before they do.
Nowadays.
What's the task? Shut it! Complete. Sappers! Ground needs taking, boys. Sappers! Ready to destroy some poor bastard's handiwork. Royal Engineers, ready.
Well, that was pretty easy.
The big man will be proud. Captured!
I don't like that the fucking
Royal Engineers getting to work. What's the task? Solaki, eyes open. Awaiting all orders! Shut your fucking gobs! Position's ours. Spark up while Sappers here! Working! Bloody masterpiece. What's the task? It's just a scratch, alright? We're taking that position. Royal Engineers here. Lead on, David. Pack it up, lads. We're moving. Goose-stepping beggars! Kill them!
The beggars are threatening a fuel point.
Time to secure that area. Awaited instruction. Get moving. Sappers here. Await. Fire at that target. Sappers. Ready to destroy some.
Sector lost.
Handiwork.
Repeat. Sector lost.
Where'd they come from? Shoot! Over there! Grenade! Cover!
beautiful grenade from the.
We got orders, man. Infantry squad beating about, see? Hold the position! Sappers reporting. Flames on contact with the enemy. We're in it now. Royal Engineers, ready. Position taken. Ready? Time for a brew? Quiet down and listen up. Sappers, we're ready. Job done. Position's up. Light them up. Get it antsy. Hold your asses. Move. Not had orders in job. Oh, we're needed elsewhere, lads. Let's get to it. We're under fire. Fight cover. Pay attention, lazy buggers. Oh, what a beauty. Orders, sir. Yeah, we're moving. Awaiting orders. Fire. Oh, quiet down, you wankers. Are you taking the piss? You want to upgrade us? Now!
That's retarded. The fact you have to have that.
On it.
Like it.
Starting construction of the platoon command. Sappers, reporting. Here we go.
Okay. I was just testing. I didn't know how effective.
The fucking stop! Not had orders.
Oh,
in
that
the
they
off,
are
like
actually
shit through a
good.
goose. Move.
A fuel point is being overrun.
Sappers reporting.
We're losing a munitions point. Enemy ground forces have claimed a sector. Royal Engineers trained and ready to go. Territory sector lost, Commander.
Orders, sir. Don't need precision here. Kill them.
Royal Engineers on the field and ready for your orders.
Close in. Sappers, we're ready. Come on, section ready.
We're losing a capture point.
Jerry's hankering for a scrap. Sappers, receiving. Flamethrowers. Now we're talking. David, you're up. Flamethrowers coming. Oh, we're needed elsewhere, lads.
We're losing a munitions point to enemy action.
Sappers, eyes open, guns up. We're taking that position. Shovels out, boys. Nice boys here.
Damnation! The sector's in enemy hands.
Sappers, reporting. You're the boss. Gentlemen. Attention! Infantry's closing on us! Move, you bloody quiet girls! Nine! That means you're covering position! Move, fire! Attention! Keep the pressure on! Grenade on that top! Awaiting instructions, sir! Infantry squad killed! Rifle set! You Rangers will march! That's enough! Pushing on enemy ground! Get it, Ansi! Give
A munitions point is being overrun.
Take the position, Sappers! Like you was trained! Sappers, that capture point needs to be ours, right? And here we go. Royal Engineers here. Stow that gear, boys. Sappers, we're going. Eagers, we've got orders to move.
Sector overrun. The enemy has it.
What's the task?
That's fine. We'll just.
Proximity alarm. Our territory is under attack.
That's exactly why I sent an engineer there.
It's captured.
Somehow I just.
Sappers on site. What do you need blowing up?
The enemy have taken our territory.
Pilot, move! Grenade! We'll get there if I can track
The enemy is trying to take a point from us.
Grenade on that target! Awaiting orders! Apparently it's better over there! Move! Sappers, like a
The enemy has pushed us back from our sector.
George! That means you fall!
Sherman tank reporting and ready.
Ready to destroy some little strollers, Jerry's line.
We've lost contact with our
Oh,
sappers.
damn.
Sappers, reporting. Move back now. Follow me. Royal Engineers, move back now.
Capture point is being contested.
We're getting shot, see that? Not had orders in yonks. We're not fucking bitching, David. We're taking that position.
Our supply line's broken. We have sectors isolated out there. The beggars are threatening a munitions point.
Sappers, eager as we'll ever be. Awaited instructions, sir. Okay.
We've lost a sector to the enemy.
Cut those bloody troopers down! Remember your drills! Or get fucking dirty, see if I can!
The enemy is down to 200 points. Carry on.
Down, lad! Stop firing at fucking dead! Quiet down! We're taking...
Valentine infantry tank is ready for orders.
Give us bloody orders! Sappers, we're ready. Secure that position! Sherman needs orders, drive them out! Valentine in contact! Right, we're moving, Shax. Hang on! They're trying to get... Stop, driver! Dead stop! Present and accounted for, sir. Let's go.
We're losing a fuel point.
Valentine on the hook! We're gonna be right fucking a minute!
Like, what am I looking at?
The enemy has claimed a sector.
Stretching your paperwork, Albert!
Present to the force, sir.
Awaiting orders! We need cover! Hold your asses! Move!
A munitions point is being overrun.
Fall back now!
A-15 Crusader is on station and ready for orders.
Nowhere to be seen. Let's take it!
We're losing a
Tell me
munitions
that. Huh?
Sappers on
Enemies pushing the line, trying to take one of our points. Territory
Job
lost.
better than fucking paperwork, innit? On it.
We're gonna get a little cheap.
We've lost a sector.
Job for us. She ain't pretty, but she'll do. Valentine's here. Oh, patching it up now. Full strength.
We're just gonna experiment with some of the stuff that we have. We have it.
Royal Engineers here. Ground needs taking, boys.
Quiet down.
Let's deny the Germans fuel though, because I really.
We are losing territory.
Rifle grenade! Fire! Sappers receiving orders. And here we go. Scary's picking us apart!
The sector is in enemy control.
You wankers will march! Sappers under fire!
We're losing a fuel point to enemy action.
Are you serious? They're just coming around everywhere.
Give us orders! Yeah, we're moving! Sappers on site. What do you need blowing up?
The beggars are threatening us to...
Ready.
We're down to 200 points. Royal Engineers out of contact.
They actually have a danger close set in? That's kind of ridiculous. Let's call it there. Just...
Don't just fucking stand there! Capture job! Now! Artillery flag!
Wait, how many artillery strikes can I just call? Okay. That answered.
Taking enemy fire here!
Damn it.
Bloody bad show. The enemy have the lead.
Where are my...
What's the task?
Our strategic point is being overrun.
Not had
Told y'all to move.
Man's coming through! M3 on standby! Get down! Get to work!
Territory sector lost, Commander. We have the lead. Now hold it.
Sappers, ready to destroy some small bastards. Look lively! Orders! Sherman on the move! Get it, Ansi! Hold the position! Give us
Royal
orders.
Engineers on the field and ready for your orders.
Good to go! Reporting in. Roger that. Flamethrower duty. Davin, you're up. Position taken. Tidy. Time for a brew? Almost ready to go. Engines chugging along. Where to? Position's ours. We're all done. Sherman engaged!
I say, we have guards on standby.
Nice boys here. Tank's full. I don't like it either.
We're losing a fuel point to enemy action.
Taking hits. Sappers following orders. Man down. Valentine retreat. Bloody moving slow. Right here.
Why am I not able to see him? Get him. Stop worrying about those guys, please and thank you. Work.
Royal Engineers here. Valentine! Valentine, relocate!
Guards awaiting orders, sir. Double time on that point. Take it from them. Jerry's on the back foot now. 100 points left. Straight up!
Barely. He almost had us for a second there with that guy.
Sappers, yeah? Welders out! Away get to repair! Bastards! Take that position! Sappers under fire, yeah? Position snaffle!
We're losing a munitions point due to enemy action.
Radio crowd is singing and we're listening. Looks like their reserves are on the way.
They're working round the side! The enemy is pushing us back from our sector.
Get it antsy! Give us orders!
Good work so far, gents.
The
Work.
enemy has 75 points left.
No, don't move. Yep, don't. Push forward, please.
Sappers, yeah?
Last man up to bat. They're down to only 50 points.
Sappers, keep fighting! Awaiting orders!
Jerry's run out of steam. They're down to our last 25 points.
Squad killed! Nice shooting, lads! Getting a promotion! Repair! Work! Later! Fire the left! German needs orders! I want guns on the driver!
Now I'm getting worried. Come on, how am I losing sight lines?
Mission accomplished. Let's get out of here.
Thankfully, we were messing up their infantry enough, but... Yeah, armor-to-armor combat has definitely not been seen yet. That's going to be very interesting. But what I said before about the difference between armor and infantry combat, it's still a little bit hard to discern properly.